So, do we soup up horns kind of like people soup up their cars? Yes, we do. So here's an example. This is a horn called a Yamaha 667. It's a good horn, but like a Chevy or a Toyota or something coming out of the plant, for some reason it has built-in shortcomings. And people who like cars and people who like brass instruments are both baffled by why manufacturers do that. But anyway, these things can be addressed. So, through customization. So, for example, on this instrument, a couple of things were done to it by a fella named Jacob Medlin. See how you can tell I've done this before, right? I'm really good at it. But he did a couple of things to this to make this horn play a lot better. So when I first got it, I thought, well, this horn plays pretty well, but it has some problems. So I went to him and I talked to him about the problems, and then he addressed them with some customizations. So, for example, the whole horn played really, really sharp, which meant that when you played, you had to pull the main tuning slide out really, really far to get it to be in tune. This is the tuning slide for the low F side of the horn. It's a double horn, B flat and F. You had to pull this out and, put it in another county to get it to be in tune. It was just really hard to get it in tune. And the further you pull the slides out, the more it distorts the playing of the horns. The brass players know that what it does is it creates problems with it. Just the slots of the high notes especially just start to disappear. It doesn't play nearly as well. So what we did was we addressed this, number one, by putting a new lead pipe on it. Now, a lot of the manufacturers' lead pipes have problems. Some of them are really, really good and some of them aren't. Sometimes, for example, they don't stay round all the way down the length of the pipe. And if they don't stay round, then notes disappear. The notes don't lock in, you lose the slots. So if you have somebody who has his own ideas about how to make these things and is an expert in it, he or she, the person will make you a lead pipe that they think really works well on the instrument. So Jacob did that, and there it is. And that makes the horn play an awful lot nicer. You can even see it. Maybe you can see the color. It's a different metal. It's this more silvery colored metal. We call it nickel silver instead of yellow brass, which is what the rest of the horn is. So another thing he did to it was, because if you remember, I said the low F side was really, really sharp, even compared to the rest of the main horn. What he did was he put a longer F branch on it so that it brought that pitch down to where it should be relative to the whole horn. So it makes it a lot easier to play in tune. So now you can see the tuning slide is barely pulled out there, the F tuning slide, and the main tuning slide is pulled at a very reasonable amount, and that's great. So so that's just for certain very practical things that make just make the horn play better, more in tune. But another thing he did too is we put a screw bell on it. That's usually for practical reasons, so that when you ship the horn or when you carry it with you on an airline or something, you can put it in a smaller case. So like this is, for instance, it's that red case there. That's an example of one of those. And but it also has the effect of making the horn just focus nicer in its tone. Some people say the opposite, and some people say that it does, that it makes it better. The other thing too he did though was that the whole horn is made out of extremely soft brass. It's highly annealed. You probably know what that means. You just heat it up again to even out the molecular structure after you're done working the metal, but it's very heavily annealed, so it's really super soft. This bell is much harder, crafted out of a much harder, thinner brass, and so it makes the horn more responsive. So yeah, those are all things that you can do to customize a horn, kind of like customizing a car, to get the car to drive the way you want it, stiffer or softer suspension, getting better respiration for the engine so that it's more responsive. It's very similar with the horn. So those are a couple of examples.